The Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge is an inspirational podcast spreading positive energy and only good vibes into the universe through personal discovery, empowerment, and self-love awareness. Now, please join me in the Sexy Cool Lounge with our creator and host, Jimmy IV.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you might be watching this Vibe Live, right? And may your vibe be cruising at an altitude that is so sexy cool. So as always, at the beginning of everything that I do, y'all, I want to give thanks to you and everyone around the world for giving the Sexy Cool Lounge a part of your time, your energy, and just allowing us to sprinkle some positive energy and good vibes only in your journey through the universe, right? So if you are so inclined to check out any one of our amazing episodes from 1 to 100, can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, we are at 100. Please go on over to the website at www.sexycoollounge.com, or you can follow the podcast on any one of your favorite podcast platforms. We are on all of them. And if you happen to have an Alexa, hey, tell her to play Jimmy IV Sexy Cool Lounge podcast, and she will make that happen for you as well. All right. So we are vibing live, and this is a good thing. So I wanted to share with you my guest. And before I introduce her, let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a mom. She is a very exceptional, motivating speaker, right? She is also a certified counselor, an educator, and an author of a really good book, which we will talk about in a minute, all right? So without further ado, please let me bring in my special guest from the 50th episode, but more importantly, my special guest from my most recent 100th episode. I want y'all to give it up around the world for Dr. Nicole Scott. Miss Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. How about yourself?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for giving us some of your time on this Vibe Live that we are simulcasting not only on Facebook, but also on YouTube. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Anytime we get together, it's always a great time.
It is always a good time. But you know how this works, all right? First question out the gate is, Dr. Nicole Scott, what does sexy cool mean to you?
And every time you ask me, my answer is different. But I'm going to say this time, being cool with who you are is always going to be sexy.
There it is. To the point, straightforward, and no nonsense. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure when you put your footprint on anything that we do over here at the Sexy Cool Lounge. So I do appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So the reason why I wanted to incorporate you in on this Vibe Live is I've had a lot of requests for you to come on and expand on a concept that is so dear to you, but also something that we talked about on the 50th episode, which was elevation through separation, right? And I think a lot of us have heard that term. I think some of us actually know what it means, but I feel like the challenges come when we need to execute elevation through separation, right? So I want to deep dive with you on that, if you would, and just really give us the importance as to why and what we should expect and what we should accept when we are elevating, and we are also going to, just by the nature of cause and effect, have to separate from some people or some environments.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, for real growth to occur, you have to eliminate things out of your life, whether it's people, whether it's places, or whether it's things. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I have just chosen to kind of separate myself from some people in my life. And when we talk about elevation, because it sounds so great, right? So, I'm trying to elevate, I'm trying to be better, but we don't talk about the hard parts of separating yourself from certain things. Growth hurts. Growth isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's challenging, so no one sees you in those moments when you're trying to grow or elevate from certain things, so even growing mentally, I still have challenging sessions with my therapist sometimes. So a lot of times people see, oh, look at you, Nicole. Yes, you're finally free, but you don't see those moments when, I let a person go and it is a loss. So it still bothers me. But ultimately, I know in order for me to grow and in order for me to reach new levels, certain people and things can't be a part of my life anymore.
Why do you think we have such a challenge with letting certain people or certain environments go, even though we know as we elevate that they're not good for us, or that they're just not truly part of the motivating factor moving forward?
Because it's what's comfortable, dealing in what's comfortable, that's easy. It's always the fear of the unknown. Well, if I let go of this friend, am I going to meet new friends? Or if I leave this job, is something better going to come in its place? And something that I've come to learn and accept, that every time that I've let go of something that I thought I couldn't live without, something greater has always come in its place. So we have to do those scary things, right? You don't gain success by staying in your comfort zone. You have to step outside of that box and challenge yourself, because that's where the real growth lies.
Let's talk about that for a minute, okay? You don't gain success by staying in your comfort zone, all right? And I think a lot of us know that, but some of us are willing to just stay where we are. So for anyone that might be listening to this, watching this, what would be a helpful tip, knowing that we can't stay in the comfort zone that we are right now, or we can't stay in the environment, whether it's toxic, whether it's drama, whatever it may be. If we are aware of where we are right now, knowing that we're trying to get somewhere else, what would be a helpful tip that we could utilize, okay, to have the confidence to move beyond that type of environment or particular people?
Is ultimately doing the work to learning to trust yourself. Because at the end of the day, once you learn that everything that you need is already within you, then you're unstoppable. We tend to take in the noise of other people. Oh, you can't, start your own business. You're too old, or, you're not going to get married because of XYZ. At the end of the day, you have to stop letting other people dictate your future. The moment that you do that and know that you are great and you are destined to be great, that's the thing that I think that people struggle with. And myself too, for the longest time, I didn't trust myself. Everyone told me I had all these great things, but until you believe it for you, you're going to continue to be stuck in this box.
Is that also part of the separation when you elevate, is that you just have to come to the realization that there are some people who chirp in your ear that are just not productive and inspiring for you at the next level?
Absolutely. And I can remember when I was thinking about quitting my full-time job. I didn't have a job lined up. I had a contract other my business that was part-time. And I was just like, you know what? It took me a while, but like, I'm going to quit my job. And people were like, you can't quit your job. What about health insurance? What about your daughter? What about this? But I knew if I continued to stay in that toxic environment, that something worse was going to happen, because I was allowing people to bring the worst out of me. But when I chose to just step out on faith and knew that at the end of the day, I'm a hustler, so I'm going to find a way to make it work. So I blocked out all that other noise and I chose to step out on faith. And when I did that, so many doors opened up for me. So I say all that to say, only you have to live with the decisions that you make. People will always say that do what's comfortable. But if you do, then you'll never see how great you can actually be.
And a lot of those things that you just talked about are things that you actually wrote about in your book, right? And I mentioned in the beginning, as well as the 2 episodes that you were on, that you're also an author. And the name of the book is entitled Finally Free: From Perfect Storm to Perfect Peace, right? And all of the things that you just mentioned are synonymous with the things that you have in your book. So tell us a little bit about why you felt the need to write the book, and just where can we find the book?
Absolutely. So the book was it really started as a healing journey for me when I was in one of the darkest times of my life, and literally going to therapy once a week, just trying to fight for my will to even want to be on this earth anymore. And as I continued to write in my journal and just realizing how I really was building something that could ultimately help other people. And I always tell people that, we go through things that are painful, that may hurt, but our pain always has a purpose. And I know if I went through some of these challenging times, there's definitely other people out there who are experiencing challenging things. And had I listened to other people and not published my book, because again, being truly authentic is how you truly connect with people. And I put the good, the bad, and the ugly in there. And even I talked myself out of it because I said, oh, people are going to think, you're the smartest dumb person in the world. But at the end of the day, we've all been there. We've all made decisions that we look back on and think we shouldn't have done that. We've made dumb decisions for love and relationships. So at the end of the day, I want to use my story to inspire people to ultimately people don't suffer in silence like I did.
Wow. And I think that's a lot of what I read in the book. So where can we find the book if someone wants to get a copy of the book?
You can find it on Amazon, but you can definitely send me a message on IG if you want it, signed. I can definitely do that and ship it out to someone as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So moving along, I wanted to also put you in the hot seat on a few things. All right. But we don't do no hot seats over here at the Sexy Cool Lounge. So I'm going to put you in a Sexy Cool recliner. All right. And ask a few questions to you and give me your immediate responses back if you don't mind. All right. Question 1 is, never dim your light for anyone. Why is that important?
Because I think ultimately, and especially as Black women, we sometimes feel like we need to shrink ourselves to make other people feel comfortable, right? So we may not celebrate our success as much, or we may not feel as if that we can celebrate how accomplished we are. But at the end of the day, when you surround yourself with the right people, they're not only going to celebrate with you, but they're going to be cheering you on for that next level of success. So always make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you just as much as you want the best for them.
Next question. Why should we not wait for closure?
Closure is a scam. I tell people that all the time. No matter what the situation, it never plays out how you want it to play out, right? If no one's going to apologize for how they hurt you, or they're not going to give you, that closure that you need. So you have to create your own closure, whether that's setting your boundaries, whether that's cutting someone out completely out of your life. But you have to close the chapter for you so that you can move on, because ultimately the closure is never going to look like how you play it out in your mind.
Tell me about the meaning behind self-care awareness. We hear it all the time. Some of us know it, some of us practice it. But give us the true essence behind its value and vitalness to us as human beings and to our core.
Because we can't be good to anyone if we're not good to ourselves, right? So I often say, make sure you practice self-care today. And somebody say, oh, well, I went to get my nails done, or I went to get my hair done. And yeah, that's personal care. But how are you truly taking care of you, right? So are you taking time, to speak to a therapist? Are you taking time to rest? Sometimes we're on the go 24/7 that we truly don't take time to recharge our batteries. How are you truly taking that time to do something just for you outside of being a mom, being a wife, a husband, a caretaker for your parents? How are you making sure that you're taking care of you and recharging yourself?
Last question in the Sexy Cool Lounge recliner is this, and I need you to really bring this one home, okay? If your circle isn't supportive and motivating, you should what?
Change your circle. At the end of the day, if you feel like that you're the most successful in your circle, it's time to change your circle. If you feel like people are just not celebrating you the way that you celebrate them, I hear people saying sometimes, oh, tell me about your little business, or, always putting the little in front of it, trying to minimize what you're doing. You have to listen to those things, because people will ultimately tell you how they feel about you off of the way that they compliment you, or if they don't do it at all. So at the end of the day, you should never want to be the most successful person in your circle. I need to have movers and shakers around me all the time, because again, I want to know how I can take myself to the next level. So if you feel as if that you're not being challenged, and even friendships, you know, if you're doing something and your friends are just going along with it to go along, they're not challenging you, you need to change your circle, because you're not going to grow if you're just going to have yes men and yes women around you, or if you secretly have haters in your circle. Either way, got to change it.
Got to change it. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicole Scott. It has been a pleasure having you on the Vibe Live. Please tell everyone how we can stay in touch with you. Where can we find you if someone has a question or they just want to resonate with you and vibe with you outside of this? How can we find you?
You can definitely find me on IG, Facebook, and TikTok. Finally Free to Be Me. Like I said, if you just have the need to talk, if you need some advice, if you need someone to just put a little fire under you, send me a message. Like I said, I'm not that type of person who's just not going to give you a listening ear. I'm here to make people better. And like I said, you know, if I can do that for you, all I ask is that you pay it forward and do the same thing for someone else.
Before we close this out, if you had one opportunity to tell listeners and people around the world one message, what would it be?
That you matter. Don't ever let this world make you feel like you don't matter, and don't ever feel like that you have to suffer in silence. If you feel as if you don't have anyone in your life who will listen, I'm going on record to say that I'm here for you. You can ask anyone, my followers. I've given out my number because, again, I'd rather you feel like you have someone to talk to versus feeling like you have no other avenue. So I'm here. That's the last message that I would want everyone to hear today.
Man, so impactful and so inspiring and empowering. No other way you could bring it. So thank you so much. Thank you for putting your footprint not only on the Sexy Cool Lounge, but on the 50th and the 100th episode. And we already have you booked for episode 150. So I don't know what the plan is in the future, but you already know that you're going to be on here for episode 150. So thank you so much for giving us your time today and leaving your amazing footprint, not only on the Sexy Cool Lounge, but in the universe as well. So Dr. Nicole Scott, thank you so much for everything.
And thank you.
You're welcome. Family, as I get ready to get up out of here, as we always say, love yourself enough to radiate your vibe. Love yourself enough to radiate your vibe. And never forget, family, that even though we do not have as much as others, man, we still have more than others. So let's continue to put good vibes into this universe so we can always get good vibes back. I'm Jimmy IV. I love you guys. Thank you for being a part of this Vibe Live, and I will see you on the next episode.